Nice to have you, Mr. Patronis. $300 million off a $195 billion portfolio is not very much. So why not just get rid of it and, make some people happy?
Well, Florida's been on the forefront of holding regimes like China and Russia accountable. Just last year, we passed House Bill 7017, which forces any of our political subdivisions, that's like counties, cities, universities, to be in full transparency of their relationships with countries like Russia. Russia was outlined in it. So, again, now there's a flurry of activity. Our SBA is monitoring because of how dynamic things are. But everything is on the table, everything.
Okay, which means what? That you have to go through some sort of process before it can be divested? Or what does the everything on the table mean?
Correct. So in the case of Florida's financial oversight structure, we've got the SBA, the State Board of Administration. That's made up of myself, the Attorney General, and Governor Ron DeSantis. So until the SBA meets, those decisions are basically there at a publicly noticed meeting. We can discuss it. But like, for example, at the last time the SBA met, we took away all of the proxy voting by our fund managers. We took those funds and where they were, those businesses that were making social decisions, maybe energy-based decisions that were in the best interest of Florida's returns. We then started moving away and making sure that we're not investing in social engineering when it comes to the best return on investment for the citizens of the state of Florida.
So, Jimmy, we can talk specifically about, for example, Russian assets within the pension portfolio. But given the fact that we're just seeing volatility across the board, across so many different markets, so many different stocks, for example, here in the U.S., how are you navigating that in general?
Well, I tell you, we've got an excellent team. I will tell you what gets me concerned, though, is what we're dealing with inflation. Now, I still have 900 people a day moving to the great state of Florida. The cost of business has gone up, but the cost of business in Florida is cheaper than a New York or an Illinois or anywhere else in the Northeast. But as we see this migration, it's making everything cost more. And again, we monitor it. But one of the biggest concerns is nobody's talking about is what the increase in inflation has done to the availability and cost of insurance. Homeowners insurance is spiking because it costs more to replace your house. It was, 3 years ago, it was $170 to $150 a square foot. Now we're looking over $600 a square foot for the same type of construction.
So how do you navigate that in terms of pension payouts?
Well, again, it's a concern. We are funded at about 87%. You compare us to a New Jersey, which is funded about 44%, or in Illinois, which is less than that. Again, we do a pretty good job of managing money, but every year, I was 8 years in the legislature, even in the downturn of the foreclosure crisis, the legislature was bringing dollars in and backfilling the unfunded liabilities of the state pension. In the case of Florida, we'll still do that this year. $40 billion is sitting in my treasury right now. Oh, did I lose you?
Jimmy, final question. I mean, I think we can see some fire trucks in the background there. You wear a lot of hats. In addition to being the chief financial officer of Florida, you're also, I believe, the state fire marshal. And unfortunately, I know there have been some significant fires in certain areas around the Panhandle. What's going on there? Have things been contained?
David, I wish I could tell you yes, but the fire doubled in size from 13,000 acres yesterday to 28,000 today. All these fire engines you see here behind me, they're from as far south as Naples, Florida, and as far east as Jacksonville. So, again, this is a collaborated effort between ourselves, Forestry, Department of Emergency Management, local resources. So thank goodness the fire is moving away from the populated areas, but it is following the path of Hurricane Michael, which devastated this area just over 3 years ago. That's where the fuel is on the ground.